If you've been thinking about writing a nonfiction book, I want to give you my number one piece of advice that will take you from idea to action. Now, I'm going to take you back to 2015 because I remember I was working for the Los Angeles Lakers. I just graduated college and I was working for the team during Kobe Bryant's final NBA season. Now, a kid from Southern California who loved basketball, grew up playing basketball, had dreams of being in the NBA, this job was a dream come true. I love the fact that I got to be courtside for every single Lakers home game for that season. And while I was with that team, I had the privilege to have some incredible experiences. But one of them was the fact that I got so inspired by Kobe Bryant and seeing the effort he put in and by seeing, all the Lakers legends rally behind him and the team and the impact that they had on everybody. People would travel from all over the world to come watch Kobe play one final time, and I knew that I wanted to make my impact on the world. And so one night, after a Laker game, I'm sleeping on a friend's couch, and I'm looking up into the darkness. And I just remember thinking, what could I do to possibly make an impact? I'm less than a year removed from college. What could I possibly do? And then I asked myself two questions. What do I know, and how can I help people? And that was all I needed to trigger the response of, I got a lot of information to share with people. And so fast forward a couple months, I'm diligently working behind the scenes. I'm getting up early, leaving so I could avoid LA traffic, sitting in my car, typing on my computer. A few months go by, Kobe Bryant retires, the season ends, I retire from the Lakers, and I launched my very first book at 23 years old called Elevate Beyond. And it was a millennial's take to standing out in the job market and discovering your passion. You see, because I realized that I may not know a ton of things, but what I did know is how I got my job with the Lakers. I did know how to network really, really well. I did know how I got all these amazing internships in college. And I knew that a lot of people in college and my younger brother, they would always ask me for advice on this stuff. And so I just wrote the manual on it. I wrote the book on it. And what I realized was that just by doing it, I didn't have to be the best in the world, but just by doing it and committing to it, my entire life was changed forever. You see, my book came out in 2016. It became an Amazon bestseller. I used that book to then go on my first trip to Europe. I used that book to move into my very first apartment with one of my best friends. I used that book to catapult myself into an entirely new world of opportunities. I started getting paid speaking gigs. My book was required reading in colleges across the country. I started going to speak at conferences. I did workshops. I filled up theaters, auditoriums. And it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know all this was possible. But it all started because I did it. Now, you might be wondering, okay, how in the world did you do this at 23 years old? Well, that's exactly it. I just did it. I didn't think about everything else that would come after. I didn't think about all the things that could stop me, all the reasons why I shouldn't be doing this. I just did it. Did I have limiting beliefs as I got close to launch? Absolutely I did. But I did it. Okay, and so here's my best piece of advice that I could ever give to somebody thinking about writing a book. And it's this. It's two words. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Because look, here's the thing. I've coached personally 250 plus people on how to write and launch best-selling books. And I've spoken to tens of thousands of people via podcasts, via seminars, via theaters, via entrepreneurs, events, conferences about this very same topic. And here's the thing. I have never met anyone who after finished writing their book regrets it. I'll take it one step further and to say I've never met anyone who wasn't head over heels grateful that they finally did it. And here's why. It's bigger than a book. It's not just about writing a book. It's about what it does for you. It's about who you become in this process. Look, when you write a book, the wins are endless. You create a lasting legacy that lives on long after you. It's a dream come true. Now, everyone's going to have their own reasons, but here are what can happen. You create a legacy. Dreams can come true. It's a lifelong accomplishment. It's a bucket list item checked off. Business growth, lead flow, speaking engagements, credibility, more confidence in who you are and what you stand for. All of these are byproducts of doing it, of taking a chance to write the book and going for it. So do it. That's the best piece of advice I could give you because look, if you've been thinking about it, whatever's stopping you is stopping you from doing it. And there are a million reasons why you might not be doing it. Maybe you're scared of what people think. Maybe you're scared of telling your truth. Maybe you're scared of being vulnerable. Maybe you just don't know what to do. Maybe you don't think you're the right person to write the book. Maybe you think there's already been too many books out there. Maybe you don't think you have the time. Look, I get it. I've heard them all. But here's what I can tell you. You only need an hour a day. And with the right plan, with the right process, you can write a book that doesn't just change your life, but changes thousands and thousands of lives. What if it could change your life? What if it could change your family's life? What if it could change your future family's life? It all starts by doing it, going from inaction to action. And that's the best piece of advice that I could give. Look, I'm going to share with you what's happened in the first years, the first decades after writing my first book. Okay, I was in a job with the Los Angeles Lakers as a corporate partnerships assistant, getting paid minimally. Okay, I write my very first book called Elevate Beyond. Within a few months, I had a best-selling book. I had my first Euro trip. I moved to my first apartment. I started getting paid thousands of dollars to speak at colleges and conferences across the country. My book became used in multiple different experiences and syllabus across the country. From there, I wrote my second book. That second book led me to being invited to speak in China before the book was even out. I did a 10-day speaking tour. That book led me to going on what I called the Elevate America Tour. I started a coaching business on the back end of my third book that allowed me to connect with some of the world's greatest performers. I built a book publishing company on the back of my fourth book. I've been able to travel the world as a speaker, as an author, as an entrepreneur. I've been able to build multiple successful businesses on the back end of these books, but it all started because I did it. I took a chance and I wrote a book. Now, could I have predicted that all of this stuff was going to happen? No. Would I have predicted that I would be where I'm at with all of these books written before I turned 30 years old to be where I'm at now at 32 years old and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is where I'm at? No, I never would have thought I'd be here, but because I wrote a book, everything changed. I thought originally that you had to have made it. You had to have fame, status, or money before you could write a book. That was what I originally thought. That was one of my first thoughts when I wrote my first book. But looking back, that couldn't have been more false. All you needed to do is have a message and the belief that you can do it. And so here's what I would recommend, okay? If you're thinking about doing it and you're getting fired up about this, look, if you don't know where to begin or what your next step is, let me give you a couple of them. Number one is find a person or a company who can guide you through the process. Now, if you want tons of help and you want it to be done for you or you want to have writing coaches, we can assist you with that. But even if it's not our company, just find someone who's done something similar. Find someone who's gone through the process that they can give you advice. All right? It's so much easier to go through this process when you're working with somebody or can talk to someone who's also done it or going through it with you at the same time. Now, I'd love to help you on that, but more importantly than us helping you, I just want you to have the right support. Now, here's a tactical few things that you can do. Number one is decide on your book idea. What are you going to talk about? All right, what have you overcome? What do you know more about than most other people? What problems can you solve? Where can you help people? What have you already helped people for? What do you like talking about? Decide your book idea. That's going to be a critical piece early on in the process. The other thing that you want to do early on is who do you want this book to be for? Whose problems are you going to solve? What types of problems can you solve? What types of people have those problems? What age? What gender? What demographics? What job do they have? What's their marital status? Are they parents? Think about very specifically, who is your book niche? All right, so you decide who the book's for, you decide your book idea, and then commit the time. All right, all it takes is less than an hour a day, a few times a week in order to be able to do this, write the book, launch it in 90 days or less. All right, can you commit just a couple months of your life to achieving a lifelong dream? Can you achieve just a couple months of work to then have a ton of success for years to come? Can you put in a couple months of effort in order to have years of benefits? All right, that's what it's all about, but you got to do it. And the final thing that I would suggest you do is you start. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. But find the right person, identify the book idea, find the audience, commit to the time, and lock in. You're a few months away from taking the idea that you've had for a while and turning it into a best-selling book. Now, if you want the step-by-step playbook on how to actually write, publish, and launch a nonfiction book, here's the good news. I wrote the book on that. It's called Big Idea to Bestseller, and I'm going to give you a free copy of that. Just go to bigideatobestseller.com/free-book and click below, or just remember that and type it on in. That's bigideatobestseller.com/free-book. That's what I'm talking about. I wrote the playbook on it, so you can just follow it step by step by step. Now, if you want additional support and you really want to have someone help you through this, then let's book a demo and talk through your game plan together. Go to bigideatobestseller.com/call and we'll chat. We'll talk through your book idea and see if it makes sense for us to work together. That's the name of the game. But here's the biggest piece of advice. And if there's anything to take away from this singular session is this. Do it. Do it. Your story's worth telling. Your voice deserves to be heard. Your message is fantastic. So go for it. Do it. I'll see you next time.